Cincinnati, downtown, not far from the ballpark, and the the roads, the freeways. The other day I was looking for a particular photo of my father. And I'm going through the clouds, and I'm going through the photos, looking for this picture that was taken when I was, at home back in Pittsburgh, 50 some years or so ago. And I noticed something about the pictures that I've taken of my father. In almost every one, he's reading a newspaper. He has a newspaper in his hand. Every picture almost that I have of my father, he has a newspaper. Could be morning, could be evening. He had a newspaper. And I thought, boy, that's odd, because growing up, my mother, who was very urbane and Catholic education and city life. And she was very city to my father's Vermont country upbringing. And, she basically said my father never had any real formal schooling. That he just, had to quit school in, what'd she say, the 8th grade, I think. And, therefore, he had to quit so he could, help support the family at home. So, and she always, said this in the sort of kind of hillbilly he is, tone. And anyway, so, it struck me as odd. And years later, when I noticed that I'd see a picture of my dad with a newspaper, I thought, maybe he's illiterate, and he's just kind of like covering it up, for his children so we won't be embarrassed, And then I revised that thinking, losing that hillbilly kind of notion that my mom kind of set in my mind when I was very young. Because as time went on, this supposedly perhaps illiterate man, first of all, I'd find him on the porch after he was forced into retirement from the mills. I'd find him with Find a Word, books and books of find-a-words, and I'd come home, when I came home from the road, I'd find books and books on the sun porch of find-a-words and Sudoku, and he was always great in math. He was fantastic. He had great math skills. He was the foreman of a shop, the machine shop at the in Homestead, the Homestead Mesta machine shop. He was foreman, and he was the last to go in his group. But so when I came home from the road, my opinion or my idea of my father's illiteracy kind of shifted. This was a man who not only had talents of like a foreman leading a group, but also he had math skills that were phenomenal. Great math skills. He was fantastic with numbers. And that was certainly his forte. But I changed my opinion, that my father wasn't some illiterate person who, just faked, going through the newspaper all the time, for his children's sake, It was CBS News that was on television for us constantly. And to this day, I subscribe to CBS News website. But for the newspaper, it was the Post-Gazette in the morning, which was owned by the Block family. And they have survived. They are the only surviving newspaper in Pittsburgh. The evening paper was owned by these guys, Scripps. It blew my mind, much like the big boy logo. I saw it on here, and it was like, oh my God, big boy. And I noticed this the first day off the bus here. It's like, oh my God, like a beacon in the morning. Look at that. It's Scripps. And this is the Scripps Center here in downtown Cincinnati. Okay, this is the headquarters of Scripps. They were the first newspaper chain in the country. They collected a series of newspapers around the country. They owned the Pittsburgh Press, the evening paper in Pittsburgh. Post-Gazette in the morning, owned by the Block family. And the evening paper was owned by Scripps. As I knew it growing up, it was Scripps Howard. Scripps Howard. They merged. There was some kind of merging. And it became Scripps Howard. But they had the Pittsburgh Press. They owned the Pittsburgh Press. And, as time went on, consolidation certainly changes we have seen from town to town to town of buildings closing, newspapers folding. Remember Boston. Boston went from a huge, big, relatively new building out by Dorchester to just a little floor, I think, downtown, the Boston paper. And that's happening all over the country, and such is the case with Scripps. But it was nice seeing them here downtown. And they got a view right here off the, of the road there, the Underground Museum. And they are not far from the Great American Ballpark, But for logos, it was really nice out here on the road to see a logo, a banner I haven't seen in years and years and years. Kind of brought memories back. This boy who grew up liking the language and appreciating the arts